So I want to talk to you guys and tell you guys a story about a recent PIF that I just collected from a follow-up prospect that I spoke to initially 3 months ago, and the importance of this in the agency space. And hopefully you guys can take something of value and some of the lessons that I learned and apply it into your own agency when growing and when having certain bottlenecks that you have to kind of conquer. So it goes like this. So roughly 3 months ago, I spoke to a relatively warm referral prospect who was looking for more work as always. I mean, they're a roofer and it was kind of slow. And so the conversation went something like this. I opened up the call, I set frame, I set authority, kind of tell him the expectations of how this call is going to go. And 10 minutes in, as I'm asking him questions regarding his company, where he's at, what he's done, discovery wise, he says, you know what, I don't need this. And he hangs up. And I'm sitting there 10 minutes in. I'm like, what the fuck just happens? What do you mean you don't need this? And I sit there staring at my screen, being like, okay, super type A. Did I do anything wrong? Did I ask the wrong type of questions? And I was like, in that moment, I did everything the best of my ability. So I was like, okay, no regrets, completely fine. Let me call him. Let me see if he wants to hop on another call. And so I called him back. A couple minutes later, he was like, because he was in the passenger seat of the car while he was going home, and he said, "Let me hop back on the call once I get home." I'm like, okay, cool. So he hops back on the call. He sits down, and I said to him, and I said, "So is everything okay? Is there a reason why we left the call earlier?" And he goes, "Yeah, I don't need all these questions, man. You know, my friend told me what you do because it's a warm referral who have a his friend is one of my clients, and he's like, your friend tells me what you do, and I just kind of need to know the price and all that." And in my mind, I was saying to myself, there's a certain type of prospects where it's like 2% of the market, 3% of the market that's just ready to buy, card on the table, tell me the price, I'm ready to go. And I thought that was him. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I did make a mistake by asking him all these questions in the discovery process, as opposed to just asking him one or two questions, getting right into what I do, and then dropping pitch. Maybe he would have bought, and maybe I just lost out on $4,000 or $5,000. And so I thought it was that. I thought he was that type of prospect on the second time around. And and the second call, as soon as he got back home, he hopped on the Zoom again, and I was like, "Yeah, man. So what's going on? Why'd you leave? Yeah, I don't need these types of questions." And I said to him, because it's really important to kind of hold frame the entire way through. Now, a lot of people in this space, myself included, I'm 24. Most people who are in the space are 18 to 24, 25, and oh, I feel like unk. Oh shit, that makes me feel old, but everyone's relatively young, and when you're dealing with older contractors who are more type A, they can look down on you. And that's why you have to come off as an expert, and you have to come off essentially a consultant is what we're doing, because we are finding bottlenecks in their companies and asking them, why haven't we solved this before? So we have to set authority. We have to understand that we are the experienced figure on this call, because they're not special. We've done this for many clients before. We've done this for dozens of clients before. And so you coming on this call thinking you can have your way, that's just not how it's going to go, because we want to understand where they're at, how we can help, and then why nothing has changed. And then, of course, if it makes sense, breaking down what we do. And so going back to the story, the guy ended up hanging up again. He hung up again, the second time on that same call, within the 40 minutes or however long we spoke for. And afterwards, I said to myself, maybe he was that 2% of the market that just is ready to buy at any time. Maybe I did make the mistake this time, because I really didn't experience any of these prospects before, where it's like, I just need to know the price, I'm ready to buy. Like, I've never experienced that before. And so what ends up happening is we lose contact. We lose contact for 2-3 months. He goes ghosts. He falls back into the habitual patterns that he once had, which was not getting the lead flow that he wants, not getting the work that he wants, and he's frustrated with this situation. And so I spoke to one of my current clients, his friend, on our check-in call last week, and he goes, "Yeah, my friend, he wants to give you a shot. If you're open to working with him, give him a call." And in my mind, I said to myself, maybe I don't want to work with this person. As you guys continue to level up and as you guys continue to scale, you have to become very selective on who you work with. And that's why it's important to keep the integrity high in your group and with all of your clients. Because if you hire somebody with a really broken mindset, is that person the best person to get results? No. And what does that mean for you and the entire relationship? It's going to make you have a headache. It's going to make you honestly lose more money because you're focused on this one client who's not getting any results. It's going to make you focus on the low leverage task. You're not going to be able to kind of take a step back and work on the company as opposed to in it. And this guy's just going to be a headache, potentially lead to a refunds and all the bad things when it comes to managing a client and working with a client can happen. And so did I want to work with this person? And so I was like, fuck it. Let's hop on a call with him. Let's see what he has to say. And immediately in my mind, before I hopped on the call with this gentleman, I said to myself, honestly, I'm going to take a way different approach. If it doesn't work out, I don't care. Cool. Because I wanted to do something high risk, high reward, and I'll tell you what that is just now. And so before we hopped on the call, or as soon as we hopped on the call, I said to him, "Hey, how's it going? Long time no see. How you been? Good, good." Before we hop into it, man, I know that you and we spoke roughly 2, 3 months ago regarding seeing how we could help you get more contracting work, and at the time, we seemed to get frustrated with some of the questions that we were asking. And I want to make clear on this call that we are going to ask you questions because we want to understand how we can help. It's kind of like walking into a doctor's office and saying, "Hey, just prescribe me medicine." It's like the doctor's like, "I don't even know what you have." And so it's similar here. And I want you to know that we want to help. And so, with wanting to help, we're going to need to ask you a few questions about your company just so that we can have target as to what we can do and what we can kind of tackle moving forward so that we have a crystal clear game plan. Does that sound cool? And before the call even started, you come off with an authority frame. You tell them that we're not going to get angry again. We're not going to get frustrated with these questions that I'm asking you. Because if so, then that's cool. We can call it right now. And it's that authority frame which makes you respected, which makes you have an abundance mindset. So if it comes down to it, hop off the call. Who cares? And the art of negotiation, or Trump's book, is it called the art of negotiation? I think so. The person who wins the negotiation is the person who cares less. You have something I need. I don't have anything. I don't need anything that you can give me. That's really what it comes down to. What, money? $4,000, $5,000? I mean, if I'm making 50 grand a month, who cares? Like, I don't care. So what ends up happening is I go through a mini discovery, 4 minutes max. I legit said, okay, cool, basic info. And then I said, okay, cool. Is it cool if I walk you through the program? I walked him through the program. Actually, I didn't even share my screen. I didn't even share my screen. I walked him through the program with a 90-second talk, 90-second spiel as to kind of what we do, the guarantee, and how this is going to work out moving forward. And what ends up happening 10 minutes in, I'm like, okay, cool. Here's the price. You ready to get started? And, and it was objectionless. It was objectionless because the prospect realizes too over time that from 3 months ago, nothing has changed. And if they're relatively an aware individual, they're going to say to themselves internally, what happens if I don't do anything? The next 3 months is going to be the exact same way and the exact same pattern as the last 3 months. And he was smart in this situation. I do have to give him props because a lot of people, they'll ghost and they'll just be gone forever. And they won't even invest into a different marketing company, or like not even mine or whoever's it might be. They might not even invest into themselves to begin with. But he was smart in this situation. I do applaud him for that. And I do applaud him for hopping on another call with me. And it's just a really cool, unique thing about like how things can take such a quick turn in your own personal life with your own company, because this was now an additional PIF that just generated out of nowhere. Like I didn't even see it coming. And it's a really cool thing to happen as well. So the moral of the story is stick with follow-ups, though he did come to me in this case, but I will say most of my closes do come from follow-ups. Follow up as much as you possibly can. Don't be annoying with it. There's a fine line between being too pushy and also kind of just pushing the boundaries. And you have to kind of keep pushing that edge until you get clients that are like, "Yeah, I'm not doing the follow up because you're too pushy. Don't worry about it." I've only ever had that once before, and like one person is not enough data to kind of make a conclusive decision as to my follow up sequence. So that's kind of the story, guys, as to how a super type A prospects hopped off the call the first time around. 3 months later, we hopped back on another call, and it was my quickest PIF, 10 minutes. It was like 12. It was like 12 minutes, but the quickest PIF and high risk, high reward. And I want you guys to again understand the importance of follow ups, setting frame and authority, dealing with certain types of people, how to go about dealing with them, and opening up the call, especially if it is a follow up. And you guys really have to stick to your gun. Like this is This is the truth. Life in general is just simply self-respect. I've never felt more fulfilled in my life pursuing building this company because I'm doing things the way I want. And if something comes along where it's like you can't do it this way, you have to do it a way that you don't want to do it, I have the option to say no. I don't want to do it. And so if you are new to SMMA, you have to be a lot more firm and direct and be willing to say no. And this is a really important lesson that I wish I knew earlier. And it's going to save you a lot of headache because oftentimes, well, following up with prospects is the worst thing. It sucks. It's not good. And you have to follow up with value. And I definitely do think that a lot of times people that are angry, like myself included, like when I'll get off a sales call that didn't close or follow up that didn't close, I'll get angry with myself because I'm not good enough yet. If I was the best salesperson in the world, I would have closed the deal. And so it's important to also think about the extremes. And so if you are frustrated with your situation, that's okay. And you have to say to yourself, I'm not where I want to be, and that's okay. So just keep sticking to it. Understand that compound interest is a real thing. The work is going to work on you more than you work on it. And I hope this story brings to light some of the lessons that I learned. And by extension, you guys can apply into your own life. And I will see you in the next.